What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode. You guys made it just in the nick of crime. Now, I'm going to tell you something before we get started on today's show. I normally when I make these, because I have extreme ADHD, I try to make myself a bullet point list, even a script to some degree, because I want to make sure that I don't forget anything. And today, I decided like 10 minutes ago that I was going to go live, maybe less than that. So there's no script. I have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth. I mean, I know the topics I want to talk about, but I have no idea what the hell I'm going to say. So this could be interesting, meaning like I might not be as reserved as I normally am, is what I'm saying. There are two things I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the updates in the Athena Strand case. And if you haven't heard about the situation going on in Tennessee with the school board member, I really, really want to show you guys that and talk about that. And I'm not sure which one to do first, but here's what I do know we're going to do first. Let me do the housekeeping stuff that I always have to do. This is kind of an old picture. We're actually up to 283,000 and change. The petition to end easy plea deals for child predators. Athena Strand is a great reason why I created this. I mean, there's a lot of stories why I created this. Jesse Mack Butler's a reason I created this. Camden Lee Dolly is a reason I created this, and like a million other people, right? This, if you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, it is linked in the show notes. On Facebook, it's also pinned to the top of the page. If you're watching on TikTok or Instagram, yes, we brought TikTok along today. They can't see anything. If they want to see anything, they have to jump over to YouTube. But TikTok is there on the phone. But you guys, it's for TikTok and Insta, it's linked in my bio, so you can go sign it there. Please do. It takes literally 2 seconds to sign it. Like, it takes no time. I made the linkage really easy. If you have autofill, it's like that and you're done. There's no reason why everybody watching this, if you haven't signed it, shouldn't be signing this. The next thing I want to talk about, sorry, not ready to talk about Athena there. Hold on, let me go back. The other thing too, YouTube. Let's please follow here. I'm trying to really grow this to 200 or 200,000. We are at like 98.2 basically right now. This is kind of an old picture. So please go follow me there. Wherever you're watching, please follow, but follow especially on YouTube. Help me get to that 100,000 mark. We are so close. We're less than 2,000 away. And then lastly, my people are mad that I don't do a good job promoting this. Unheard, True Crime in Their Own Words. That is my new podcast. It launched in late January. We launched with Elizabeth Smart. We've interviewed Joe Exotic. We've interviewed the family of Sonia Massey. Interviews that are coming up. Justin Behag from Dog the Bounty Hunter is going to drop this next Monday. I sat down with the father of Columbine victim, Rachel Scott. That'll be on the 20th because that's the anniversary of Columbine. Sat down with the family of George Floyd. That's going to be on the 25th on his anniversary. People close to Charlie Manson, the Menendez family, and so many other like names that I promise, recognize a lot of them. So please check out the podcast. It's on YouTube. It's on my podcast playlist. Just go there. It's anywhere else you listen to: Apple, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, whatever. Under Unheard, True Crime in Their Own Words. Seriously, check it out. People have been liking it. It's got good reviews. So yeah. All right, let's start with Athena Strand. Okay. Because this one enrages me to a point. Like the internal rage I feel about this Athena Strand case. Like I don't know. Like this is like, please don't misconstrue what I'm about to say here. Okay. Brian Kohberger is more likable than this guy, and Brian Kohberger is not likable at all. He has zero personality, and I hate Brian Kohberger, inmate 163214, with a passion. Tanner Horner may be the worst person alive. Seriously, he sucks so bad. He is horrible. Let me tell you a couple different things. We're going to talk about a couple different things here. Okay. The first thing I want to talk about is the final words. I'm going to get this pulled up for myself. Okay. The final words that he said to this little girl. Okay. And then I'm going to talk to you about the incredibly outrageous deal. Apparently my live is restricted for harassment and bullying on TikTok. Here's what we're going to do. TikTok, jump over to YouTube if you want. So I don't lose that while I continue to talk. So you can jump over to YouTube. Yeah. I'm going to end this live and come back again where it's not restricted. So be right back. Anyways, guys. So basically what happened was Tanner Horner apparently decided that he was going to negotiate with the police after he was arrested. All right. He's terrible. He's so terrible. All right. So let's talk about the final words first. And then I'm going to get into it. So the final words that he said to little Athena Strand was, get in the back of the van, Just get in the back of the van. We're going to the hospital. Okay. Um, Now stick with me on this. Okay. He told police that he's not the one who did it. Now, you might have seen this video yesterday or the post I did about this yesterday. Tanner Horner said that he's not the one who did it, that he has this alter ego named Zero, and Zero did it. And what happened was when he accidentally hit this little girl with his truck, which never happened, by the way, he never hit her with a truck. He said that he tried to calm her down, but when he failed, this alter ego, the sinister shadow of himself, took over. All right. He continues to belabor the point that Tanner is not Zero, that Zero is the one who took this 67-pound, 7-year-old little girl, forced her in the back of a truck, strangled her, stripped her clothes off, and dumped her body in the river like she was nothing more than trash. And Tanner goes, well, I didn't do it. That's what F's with me. I'm wondering who the hell's been in my head the whole time. All this after he pled guilty too. Like, he's still sticking to this. There's also evidence that he SA'd her either before or after he took her life. This is a tough one. This one I talked about the other day when I said it reminds me a lot of Audrey Cunningham and a lot of these other cases. This one, I am filled with a rage that it's hard for me to really put into words. I don't want to like have all the restrictions come at me, so I'm gonna keep it like as clean as I can. But this guy is the worst, and I truly hope that the jury decides that Tanner's time above ground has come to an end, that there is no place for him above the surface of the earth, on the surface of the earth. He can go below it. And that until he gets to that point, the inmates do a phenomenal job at making every single day, every breath he takes, a painful living hell. That is my hope for him, my prayer, if you will, for him. Yeah, he is the absolute worst. Now, there's more than that too, though, with Tanner. Okay. And by the way, if you guys don't know the story real quick of Athena Strand, let me just give you just a really, really brief synopsis, okay? So basically what happens, I'm looking at something. Here real quick. Sorry. I'm trying my phone. My thing's doing a thing. There we go. That's what I'm trying to do. Back in November of 2022, Tanner was a contract FedEx driver, okay? Tanner is bringing something to Athena's house. A Christmas present, actually. A Christmas present for her. It's a Christmas present with Barbies in it. And he sees this little girl playing in the yard. Dad's out hunting. Mom's in the kitchen cooking dinner. And he decides that he is going to end her life. Take her in the car, end her life. SA her. I mean, I guess that's what they really aren't talking a lot about the SA. And I guess I'm glad to a degree that charge is not tacked on there. But it should be, I think, you know. But let's talk about the demand that he made. Okay, because you guys want to be filled with the same rage I am. Of course you do. It's Friday. Who doesn't? All right, let me get this pulled up. I want to be verbatim for this, guys. I want to be verbatim with you guys on this one. Let me find it. Bear with me. Actually, I haven't made this post yet, so I got to go find where I put my notes. Oh, you guys are gonna get mad. So mad. Okay. So he ended this girl's life, right? He gets captured a couple days later. He's sitting with the police, and he decides he's going to negotiate. He decided that he's going to negotiate with the police. Here's what he said. I'm going to read it verbatim, okay? I imagine that you have basically a list and bullet points that you want to know from me. There's only one thing in this world that I want. I want a month. Even if you have to put an ankle monitor on me, GPS monitor, checkups with you, if you give me a month with my family so I can have Christmas with my son, I'll tell you everything. If you let me have Christmas with my son, I'll tell you everything. The audacity to be so effing for real right now. My God. Like, hold on. I'm gonna give my thoughts in a second. The police told him that the request was unlikely because he was arrested for murdering a child. And his response was, well, either way, that's basically my price. He wanted a month home with his child for Christmas. Even though Athena's family, Strand, his mom and dad, or her mom and dad, stepmom, they didn't get a month or Christmas with Athena. But he wants one with his child. Like the level of detachment, delusion, I don't think it's mental illness. I think that this is somebody with sociopathic, psychopathic tendencies. I'm not a counselor, therapist, psychologist. I can't diagnose anybody. But what I can say is that is just an insane request for somebody sitting in the position that he was in. It's absolutely insane. What do you guys think? Let me know. And by the way, this is why I'm continuing to push the petition and easy plea deals for child predators. We're getting to numbers that people are noticing, that lawmakers are noticing. Elections are coming up. Please go sign it. I told you what was linked at the beginning of this. By the way, if you came in late, you can go on YouTube and watch this from the beginning. We're talking about Athena Strand, and then we're going to talk about the situation in Tennessee where a school board member called a high school student hot, like a 50-something-year-old dude called this, and his excuse behind it, called this high school teenager hot. We're going to talk about that. We got video of that. Anyway, so this guy wants a month home with his kid, even though Athena's family was burying theirs. It's just so disgusting, and this is why I just can't stand this guy. I can't stand him on every level. He is just the absolute worst. The absolute worst. I'm glad that they did not they didn't give him that. It's good that they didn't give him that. I just, let me before we get into this thing with this other guy, I want to say something, and I said this yesterday. I'm going to step out of this like whole reporter mode. I'm going to be like really for real with you guys right now. I hate doing these cases, right? I hate covering cases like Athena Strand. I hate covering the grandfather who got 325 years because of what he did. I hate covering the people who abuse these children and walk away with little to nothing. I don't like these cases. I have a young daughter. I have a 6.5-year-old child, almost 7. Oh, she'll be 7 in July. And these cases hit differently than they would have before I had a kid. They still would have been sad, but now it becomes a lot more personal. And what I do typically when I have stories, and I can't, obviously you have to like space out. I can't post back to back to back to back to back, right? You can't do that. You have to space them out. And so when I see a story that I think, oh, this would resonate with my audience, my followers would like this, let me do it. I text the story to myself. Guys, I have so many of these stories, crimes against children, SA, etc. I can't begin to cover them all. There are so many, and every day there are more and more and more that come in. Every single day. And I just struggle. I really struggle with the fact that grown adults, predominantly men, sometimes women, I'm not going to discount and say, predators come in all shapes, sizes, genders, whatever, but 90% is men. Look at a child, like a 7-year-old child, like Athena Strand, and be like, you know what? I want to SA her. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And I don't think I will. It's hard to cover these. And the other thing that I'm challenged with when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I do think it's getting better. And you're going to see one of these guys in a minute. And I think like not one of the bad guys, like a good guy. You're going to see one of these good guys in a minute, but like not enough men stand up and call this stuff out. Like I told you, I didn't know what I was going to talk about. Here we go. So I don't know. Where is it? I'll show it to you guys. Hold on. Whatever. Let me see if I can show you this. So I'm going to cover a little bit of this up for my plaintiff friend. Okay. My co-defendant. This was a, what if I can hold on? I'm just going to mark her. Give me a second. If she doesn't want her name out yet. Okay. So that's fine. I respect that. Look at this. So you can see the date on this. This is it's filed February 26, 2026, Court of Kings Branch, Alberta. This is what I got from this guy, Warren Marshall, for calling out an inappropriate comment he got. Myself and my co-defendant, who did videos too. We made a video using his comment or post using his comment, where I had done a video or done a post on a woman. This was back in November, who was catfishing, like 23, 24-year-old woman, catfishing 13 to 15-year-old boys. And you know what for, to essay them. And this guy made a comment and said, I wish I could have been AR'd by her. And so I took that comment and I can read you exactly what I said. It's in here. He printed it. By the way, we won this lawsuit, just so you know. We won this lawsuit. But basically, I took that comment and said, hey, this is the reason why boys don't come forward. There were a lot of guys who made that comment. I don't remember any of their names except for this guy because he sued me. And yeah, I'll read it to you real quick. And there's a reason I'm telling you guys all of this. Here it is. Okay. So here is the statement. This was my post right here. He printed my post out. By the way, I did blur the faces of his kids, just so y'all know. So I said, here's what I said. His comment is, you can see his comment right here too, right down under his picture. Showing TikTok. Now I'm showing you guys. Okay. Right under his picture. And here's what I wrote. I said, a grown man with a young son and daughter commented under my last post saying he would have loved what happened to 13-year-old victims. If you're an adult and your first reaction to the exploitation of children is to fantasize about it, that's not only a bad take, this is a flashing red siren telling the world that you have no understanding of consent, boundaries, or basic morality. It makes me wonder for his own children and wonder what attacked his wife, Jennifer Marshall, might think. This is the exact mindset predators rely on, people who minimize, sexualize, or outright celebrate the abuse of minors if it's some kind of joke. And the fact that someone raising children feels comfortable writing that publicly is terrifying, because here's the truth. You can say that about someone else's kids. You are not safe around your own. When boys grow up hearing that what happened to them is lucky, they don't report, they don't get help, they stay silent, and predators count on that silence. What he said is not normal. It's not funny. It's certainly not harmless. It's the kind of comment that tells you exactly who someone is and who you should never trust. With a child, kids deserve protection, not adults who turn their abuse into entertainment or fantasy. That's what I said. And because of that, I got sued. Okay. Again, I lost, and I didn't lose. He lost. So I'm cool with that, you know? And the point is the point of me saying all of this is to say that, like, what we have is we have a lot of guys that make jokes about this. When it comes to boys, when it comes to girls, they stay silent. And women, you guys for years, I mean, again, there are women predators. I'm not going to discount that. I report on them when they come out. I'm not, biased there. But for the most part, it's women that stand up for the protection of children, of girls, of boys, etc. Boys don't come forward because when it's a female abuser or woman abuser, because they're told that they're lucky, that they should be happy that this happened to them. A lot of girls don't come forward because you see how terrible the court system is. And so it becomes really challenging, right? For me. And so what I was going to say is that more men need to really, I don't know how many men I have watching this. I know my audience is predominantly women, but for the men that are watching this, a lot of you guys are probably good dudes. That's why you follow me in the first place. But because you agree with accountability, men have to call out other men for this type of behavior. You just have to. Like, there's no way around it. Somebody said it on YouTube. We need the good guys to stand up. Yeah, you need good guys to stand up. More people need to call out and stop normalizing that type of behavior. And I'm going to show you something here in a second that shows you kind of an example of what that looks like. So for y'all that don't know, maybe I need to. I'll show you this first, and then I'll get you the full video of what the one dad said. But there's a situation going on in Tennessee, and I think it's Washington County, Tennessee. I live in Tennessee, by the way, where a school board member called. And by the way, if you're on TikTok, you're going to want to jump over to YouTube because you won't see or hear any of this. YouTube is the same name on here. So I'll talk for a few seconds to kind of explain what this is. But if you want to see the video I'm going to show you, you'll have to jump over to YouTube, same name on here. But basically, the school board member told this student. So there was a student board member, I guess, somebody to represent the students of the school. Her face is blurred, thankfully. He says that she's hot. Puts his arm around her. Your body language, in my opinion, shows that she's uncomfortable. And he's made an excuse for it. He He didn't own his decision. He didn't own what he did. He made an excuse for it. All right. In my opinion, it's really embarrassing. He has been censured since. But the thing is, not even just him, everybody on that board sat there quietly. All right. So again, I'm gonna show you this. If you came in for the Athena Strand part, you can go back to the beginning of this stream. We talked about this. I want to show you all this part here. And then you guys, we're going to talk about this, okay? Because how wildly inappropriate it is and how just normalized this stuff has become and becoming like people that just sit there. And that's why people get away with it. So again, I'm going to play this right now. If you're on TikTok, you won't be able to hear it. You'll have to jump over. You can come back if you want to TikTok afterwards. I'm going to put on so I can make sure I hear it too. And Facebook, Insta, and YouTube, you guys are fine where you are. All right, let me have this to the stage. Let me, you know, I'm gonna get rid of.
Tonight, backlash in Northeast Tennessee following the actions of a Washington County school board member. Keith Irvin is caught on live stream leaning into a student, wrapping his arms around her, making this comment.
God, you're hot. You know that? Hey, where do you go to school at?
Superintendent Jerry Boyd appears to smile. The meeting continues with no one addressing the remarks.
I really expected accountability from you.
At an emergency board meeting tonight, outrage.
This is your community that you're supposed to be serving. Look at the distraction. You put us on the map nationally, embarrassed us.
Nobody said nothing. Y'all just sat here.
Cowards.
What kind of leadership are you providing?
Irvin saying his words were taken out of context.
When I mentioned she was hot, I meant she was on a roll. It was nothing to do with her appearance. When you take a couple of seconds out of a 2-hour meeting, it can change how everything sounds. And I apologize to her and her family.
You're a liar.
But his statement interrupted by angry shouts from the crowd.
The video speaks for itself.
Sure does.
Yeah, it does.
This isn't Irvin's first controversy as a board member. According to meeting notes obtained by NBC affiliate WCYB, in 2009, Irvin was accused of making a lewd juvenile gesture of a sexual nature in a classroom, reacting to a student's remarks. Those same records show he apologized and was censured by the board.
I'd like to make a motion that we censure Keith.
Tonight, the board voting to censure him again. Meanwhile, thousands have signed an online petition demanding Irvin and the superintendent step down. Neither responded to NBC News' request for comment. Because they are elected officials, they cannot be fired by the board. Election officials say voters can have their say this August.
All right, so let's talk about that now. Okay, let's talk about. Let me make myself bigger again. Sorry. Where did I do that? There we go. Let's talk about that for a minute, guys. And then I'm going to show you one of the dad's responses. And I think you guys are going to really like this response. I mean, like, kudos to this guy. First of all, you heard what he said. Okay. You heard what he said with your own ears. I don't care if you're taking it out. I don't know what context. He's put the way he puts his arm around her, says, "What school do you go to? You're hot." Damn. That doesn't mean, to me, there's not a, then you say, man, you're on a roll. You when you're working with children, you have to, number one, use your words carefully, cautiously. And two, you don't say that to a young girl when you are a 50-something-year-old man. I don't believe his excuse. I don't believe that he was saying, "Oh, I meant you're on a roll." I don't buy it. I don't believe it even a little bit. I don't know. You guys can tell me what you think, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. So you heard what they said, that basically the way that the county's handling it is, oh, in November, you can take it to the school board. You can have an election then. In that type of a case, this, in my opinion, you have people who are sitting there. Nobody did anything. Nobody stood up. Nobody said, "Hey, that's not right." The one guy smiled. Why are they getting to stay around children? Why are they getting to stay around children? It makes no sense. Yeah, the shout from the crowd was right. He's a liar. So yeah, if he said you were hot and gave her maybe a high five, that might have been different, possibly, depending on if he was talking about like all the stuff that she had done, and it was the academics. But clearly, the people who were at that meeting didn't take it that way. So if you missed the video trying to get your YouTube to open, all you gotta do is just rewind it a little bit. Now I'm going to show you. Yeah, I don't buy the statement at all. You know what? Take accountability for what you did. Step down if that's the way the community feels. You're there to represent the community. If the community feels that you are no longer doing a good job of representing them, then step the F down. All right, let me play you this other thing for them. I'll show you what the dad said. Again, going back to my TikTok friends, if you want to see this, jump over to YouTube. If not, you'll hear quiet while it goes. Let me get it real quick. I got to find where I put it. Is this the one? Yes, that's the one. Okay, where did y'all go? There you go. Okay, I'm gonna make this is my video that I posted on. I mean, I'm not in it, but I posted it, but I know where it is, so I know it's on this one. So let me play this one real quick for you guys. I'm gonna mute myself and y'all can, yeah. Again, jump over to TikTok if you want to.
God, you're hot. You know that? Hey, where do you go to school at?
Okay, well, I'm asking a question. You don't have to answer. But let's just say, if you were really offended by that, just raise your hand. If it doesn't offend you, keep your hand down. Do you see what I'm saying here, guys? How would you like your kid talked to like that? We have to worry about our kids getting shot up in schools and all this other stuff, right? But what we don't need to be worrying about is the comments of a man to a minor. Would you want that kid? Would you want your kid around that guy without a camera around? I would. And I'm astonished by every single person here. I'm going to tell you straight up, if this guy still has a job here soon, I'm going to do whatever I can to raise as much money as I can to get every single one of y'all out of here. And look at your face. You don't even care. This is your community that you're supposed to be serving. Look at the distraction. You put us on the map nationally, embarrassed us. And you don't even have the backbone just to walk off.
God, you're hot. You know that? Hey.
All right. So what the dad said, I agree with him, and I'm pretty sure that's the girl's dad. I agree with them. He's right. And you notice that when he said raise your hand, people kept their hands on their laps. Nobody said a thing. I don't get it. I mean, that dad, here, you know what? That dad, I'm gonna do this. Kudos to him. Right? Kudos to him. He stood up, he said it was right, he said it was true, he called everyone out for doing that. Somebody said Maddie said sad thing, almost every girl will experience something like this in their life. It's almost impossible to do it. I'm gonna say not almost, I'm gonna say every girl will experience this at some point in this life. And that doesn't make it okay. And that's what I was talking about earlier. That's why it said it's going to take more men to call out other men for it being acceptable. Women have been doing this for years. Women have been calling out for years. And I know I saw what you said earlier, Maddie, too, about don't single out men, and I'm not. There are plenty of women who commit crimes against children, and I do posts on them as well. 90+% of these people are men, though. 90+% are men. And when women do it too, yeah, absolutely, they're a problem. 100%. We're not doing that. But somebody, what was the saying that it was said? Like, when there's like a whole thing, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's like when there's a post that says like something like, if there were no men, something like it's like one of the like posts about, that somebody goes like, if there were no men, and then like a man had commented something like, well, then who would be there to protect you? And it's like, well, who would we need protection from if there were no men? Because here's the thing, it is not all of us. It's definitely not all of us, but it's enough of us that it's a problem. Like you said, it's every child, every woman is going to experience that at some point in its time. So it's just not okay. It's just not okay. So that was in Washington County, Tennessee. Somebody was asking where that was. where that guy said it. And so there's backlash, and there's a petition to remove him. It's getting more and more. Like, I know New York Post picked it up. I'm pretty sure, I think Reuters picked it up, AP picked it up, NBC picked it up. So, I mean, this guy's getting a lot of national attention, and he should. I mean, the comment was highly inappropriate. You don't say that. Like, you don't do that. You don't then touch the child. Like, and you could tell, again, you go back and watch her body language, you could tell she was uncomfortable with it. And it starts there, it's a form of, I don't know. Look, I don't know the relationship. This is a girl who represents what I know, or what I understand it to be, is that this is a girl who's on the school board, like a high school student, basically representing the student body for her school. That's what I understand this to have been. So I don't know how many meetings she goes to, how much she attends, but that, in my opinion, is a form of grooming, saying, hey, you're hot, putting your arm around you, hugging, not asking, my daughter, has been taught, like, if you want to hug somebody, ask for consent, or, ask for consent before you hug her. Obviously there are sometimes you can kind of just read the room, but those are like with me and my wife, it's one thing, but if she doesn't want to hug her grandfather that day, or she doesn't want to hug an aunt or an uncle, cool. We don't make a big deal about it. It's her choice, her body. She's got total autonomy. She's 6.5, almost, she'll be 7 in, later this year, but that's how these kids should be. Like, this young girl should not have been, put in a position where she was uncomfortable to have this big ass, grown ass man do that to her. It's just not okay. It's just not okay. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to need y'all to, I need y'all to do something for me. I need you to understand something. I'm seeing the comments, for people who come in later, whatever. When I say, hey, these are these issues that it's predominantly men, and people go, well, it's women too. You're not helpful in this conversation. You're not. I know it's women too. I do post on women all the time. I got sued because I had to post about a woman, and I called a guy out for making an inappropriate comment on the post of a woman predator. A male predator came on and kind of did the same thing. So believe me, I am well aware of that, but there's not what ifs or what abouts in these situations. Predators in general need to be called out. They need to be taken care of. That's the bottom line with this. I mean, that's just how it needs to be. Exactly. Somebody just said on TikTok, he could have said, you're an exceptional young lady doing phenomenal things. You're going to go far. 100%. I mean, you did. I added that last part, but yeah, exactly. 100% what you just said. Somebody said something as a girl dad, I lose all sympathy for those to harm kid. My daughter's most beautiful in 16. Everyone knows I'd go all out if anyone messed with her. Be careful out there. You know what, Andy? Same. So my daughter is the love of my life. She is my favorite person to ever exist. She is awesome. She is sweet. She is caring. She is kind. And I would catch charges, and I'm not even saying it figuratively. I legitimately would. Like, I'm sitting there thinking about the Athena Strand case, and I probably should not say this publicly, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm sitting there thinking about the Athena Strand case, and I'm thinking about her dad. So her dad, not only did he lose his little girl around Christmas, and I don't know why or what happened, but when you have a child death like that, I can tell you what I assume or what I suspect. But he lost his wife too. That was, Athena's stepmom. She was in the house cooking dinner when this happened. And I have a feeling, and I want to make it very clear, this is my speculation, my personal speculation. I don't have any evidence of this. It's just, call it a guess, call it a hunch. There's no whatever. But the dad probably blames her. Like, he was not there. He was out hunting. He probably blames her a little bit. And that marriage then didn't survive. So not only did he lose his daughter, he lost his wife. He lost his partner. He lost everything over this. And I'm telling you, if I was that dad, I would have gotten a 3D printed, one-time use kind of thing. And that guy starts talking about his alter ego Zero in the courtroom and stuff like that. You know what? I'd take my chances. I would take my chances. And I'm not saying this like rhetorically. I'm not saying this like people say, well, if this was my kid, I would. No, legitimately, I would. If somebody harmed my kid that way, I would have no reason to live. And I would have no problem going in that courtroom and doing it. I hope that I am never in that situation. If the court videos are on my YouTube, no, you know what? I haven't really sought them out, but I should and could do that. So maybe I will. But Exactly. It's easy. It's too easy to buy parts. Exactly. Exactly. And you don't have to look, you don't have to run a bunch of, you don't have to run a bunch of rounds through it. You know what I'm saying? There was a woman who did it too. I forget, I think back in the 80s. I think there was a woman who did it too. Like she went to the courtroom and did it. And you know what? Not get 10 years for that. Fine. I'll live with that. I'll live with that. I got no issue with that. But it's hard, I think, you know, for kids these days. I had to tell my father to listen to my daughter when I told my father when she didn't want to be hugged. I was always being dramatic about my partner and part, but this is where it starts, not being listened to. Okay, I'm going to put this up. I'm going to put this up here. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to read this. TikTok, you can't see it, so I'll read it to you out loud. The woman shot her daughter. That was in the UK. Yeah, I thought that. Thank you. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking about. It's like what, the 80s or something like that, maybe, give or take a decade. Yeah, it was in court. I remember seeing the video of it, or like not even that long ago. But the comment is, I had to tell my father to listen to my daughter when she didn't want to be hugged. I was told I was being dramatic by my partner and father. This is where it starts, not being listened to when it comes to your body and the people you trust. 100%. 100%. I agree with that. And that's why with my daughter, you know, it was different. Like when I was a kid, you know, I'll be 44 in a month. Don't you dare say anything about my age. But I'll be 44 in a month. And like we were just told, you hug the person whether you wanted to or different. If you felt awkward, it didn't matter. Get over it, right? That's just what you did. That was the way our boomer parents kind of did it. That's how they were raised. Didn't matter. Well, I want my daughter to be kick-ass. So, you know, Tina, I'm going to come back to you what you said, not because I'm going to pick on you. I'm going to come back to what you said because I do want to talk about that. But I want my daughter to be able to, you know, have total confidence and self-control over anything or everything that happens to her. And I hope that that's the same for all kids. Now I want to go back to what Tina said, not because I'm picking on her, because she's right. She said the older generation was raised different. It was a sign of respect to our elders. And, you know, the thing about respecting your elders has really been a challenge for me lately. Because like my father, for example, it's okay. So those of y'all who don't know, I told you don't know what I was going to talk about on this one because I didn't script it or put out any notes. We talked about Athena Strand. We're talking about the situation in Tennessee, and I'm giving you guys some personal anecdotes, I guess. But I guess that's what we're doing. But anyways, I'm no contact with both of my parents. My mom is a very long story, one that there are videos about that we can do a whole series on. That my counselor is just like, my God, what did you go through as a child? I shouldn't laugh about it because it's not funny. It's really quite sad, actually, but it is what it is. I'm not supposed to say that either. I was told not to say it is what it is because it brushes off, but it happened and we're working through it. My dad, on the other hand, it's very different. My dad has just gotten to a point. His birthday was actually the other day. I didn't even call him. He turned 81 and he's gotten to a point where he is filled with so much anger, hate, and rage that he's impossible to be around. One of the last straws that I had with my dad was he had just gotten here from Florida, and my daughter, she was 3 at the time, is around playing in the yard, excited to see him, and he within, I don't know, 4 minutes of being out of the car drops the N-word, and that's a word that we don't use. My wife and I are vehemently against racism. We stand up against racism and bigotry, even to my father. And I basically told him, like, hey, don't use that word. Number one, it's effed up. And number two, my daughter's right here, and I don't need her hearing that word. She's never heard that word. I don't need her hearing that word. I don't need her knowing that word. I don't need her repeating that word. Just don't. So then he gets like all flustered or whatever. And then he starts, he's got wife number 7 with him. Okay. And he starts going through his phone, his TikTok, and he's showing me his algorithm as he's scrolling, right? And he's showing like all these like half naked young women, you know, dancing, whatever, scantily clad. And he starts talking about TikTok, and I'm like, Dad, let me show you my algorithm. And I show him my algorithm. There's nothing like that on my algorithm. It's mainly, you know, true crime stuff, news, cars, you know, skits, stuff like that. And so he then puts his, so he shows that he gets flustered in front of his wife because I call him out saying the only reason your algorithm looks like that is because that's what you interact with. And then he starts talking about how women deserve it. You know what it is? Deserve it based on what they're wearing. And so then I didn't even have to pop back on that one. My wife popped back on that one and basically told him like what? So when our daughter's 14, she's at the beach in a bikini. That means she deserves it. Right. And so my point to this is that the whole like respect your elders thing, respect is earned, not given to you just because you've reached a certain number of birthdays. Like I'll respect a 16-year-old if they've done things that deserve respect. I'll respect a 100-year-old. I'll just respect anybody if they've done anything that deserves respect. I'll give you respect until you give me a reason not to. You know? So anyways, it's just one of those things. So, but you're right. That's how you were raised. And we're a lot of us Gen X, Gen Z, or Gen X, millennials and Gen Z. I don't know about how Gen Z's, what they're doing, but I know that Gen X and us and millennials are raising our kids differently. But the point is like this type of stuff, it's so exhausting talking about it and covering it. Oh, my dad's very wrong. Yeah. The funny thing is my dad has a TikTok. I'm not going to give it to you guys because I don't need that connection back to me. He gets ratioed. Do you know what being ratioed means? Ratioed, probably, in case y'all don't, ratioed means that you get more comments than you do likes on your post. And so whenever my dad posts something now and it's his hot takes that should not be on social media, he gets ratioed like an anonymous post. So, by the way, because just so y'all know too, 26% of millennials and Gen Z are no contact with a family, a parent. I actually wrote a book. I'll show it to you guys. Apparently I'm bad about reminding people that I have this book, that I should be selling it. But I did write this book called Boundaries that teaches kids like why you're no contact or limited contact with your kids. If you want it, you can order it through at justinthenickofcrime.com, or if you're on TikTok, through the TikTok shop. It's in my profile. It's called Boundaries. It's got good reviews. People like it. So for what that's worth. But yeah, we're trying to break generational cycles. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. I don't want anybody to be disrespectful, to anybody unless they deserve it. But I also don't want somebody to sit there and have to sit quietly through something that makes them uncomfortable just because somebody's older than them. Doesn't make it okay. So I'm gonna call out what Tina said on this one. So I agree with you, Maddie. Thank you. So I'm Tina, and I'm gonna do this as respectfully as I can. I'm not trying to pick on you. Tina said what you wear is kind of important, though. Men are visual beasts, and it gets them going. We women wish we could wear what we want with no worries. And I agree with you, and I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, are men to a point that we are so devolved. I mean, and I know the answer to some of them is yes. But are so devolved that you can't like handle seeing a woman wearing like a bikini and honestly just not help yourself. Because if that's the case of how men are, then we have no business being in any position of power whatsoever. Because if we are that easily manipulated, controlled, and have zero willpower control over our bodies, then that is a problem. That is a problem. As Maddie said, men need to have self-control. Well, I can handle it. Sounds like Maddie can handle it. This is I understand what you're saying, Tina, but this is just an excuse that somebody can say to abuse. It's the same thing of like, hey, there was let me see if I can find this. I'm gonna show you guys something. I told you I know what I was gonna do today. I'm gonna show you guys something. Stick with me. My Google will work. Okay, I'm going to show y'all something. This is called the SBA project. You can go to sbaproject.org to look at this. I'm going to show you something. I want to show you something. And I'm going to kind of, some of y'all know what you're doing, what I'm doing here with this. Okay. This is the What Were You Wearing exhibit. So this is an exhibit where basically they they show what these are the actual clothes that somebody was wearing when they were assaulted. Okay, let's scroll over some of them. Hard to you can just click on them. It happened several times, but I remember the main instance. I think I was wearing a brown hoodie with gray sweatpants. I was a freshman in band class when a junior came up behind me. I was putting my instrument away. He groped me. It feels small in hindsight, but I think about it 3 years later. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off of that. Hold on. Let's do this one. I was 4 when I remember it happened for the first time. My brother was a victim himself and would make my cousin and I do things together. Horrible things 2 4-year-old girls shouldn't be doing to each other. This is what they were wearing. Okay, you see what I point here, though? There's nothing wrong with these outfits. So it's not like what you're wearing makes a difference with. You see what I'm saying, though? Again, TikTok, you can't see this, but if you're on the other platforms, you can. The baby onesie. These kill me. Someone who was less than 1 year old. That's what she was wearing. That's the point of this. This is a hard exhibit. This is a hard thing to look at, you know? They give the outfits. They give the whole outfit, everything. So I'm going to close this out because it's hard to look at. It's important. I recognize that. But yeah, so my point is that don't do this because it goes against the rule, but people should be able, if they want to walk out their house buck naked, they should be able to do so without being assaulted, if that's what you want to do. Again, don't do that. That goes against multiple laws. And most people don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. So please don't. But there's cruises and beaches for that, for people who are really into wanting to do that. Anyways, those are the things that I want to talk about. The Athena Strand case. Somebody said, what time is lunch over? I'm not sure with that. What questions do you guys have? Like, by the way, please do follow if you don't already. You know. Let me know. Oh, hey, Ree. True Crime Ree is here. What up? You need to teach our young men to keep it wrinkled in their pants. Well, here's the thing. I'm not even gonna go so far to keep it in their pants until their wedding night. I don't agree with that. Personally, and I have my reasons for that, and I'm not saying to agree with or disagree with whatever, but what I do think is that no is a complete, what boys need to be taught is that no is a complete sentence. That when there are substances involved, anything other than a resounding yes anything other than a resounding yes is a no. No doesn't mean let's try to wear you down till you say yes. Yes doesn't, or yes doesn't mean let me push you till you just give in. I guess that's the same thing as what I just said. Yes doesn't mean, hey, you're drunk, so I'm going to do this anyways. That's not yes. Maddie asked a really good question. Let's pull this up. Pull this up real quick. Maddie asked, my question is, why do child predators only get a slap on the wrist? Does that prove laws are made by predators? So you ask a very interesting question. And I agree with, by the way. That's why I have the petition to end easy plea deals for child predators linked. Again, Instagram and TikTok, it's in the bio. Facebook, it's in the show notes, and pinned to my profile. And YouTube, it's in the show notes of this show. But you can go sign it. It's very easy. It takes 2 seconds because I agree with you, and that's why I did that. And the question is, does it prove that laws are made by predators? That obviously we can't answer because you don't know till people have gotten caught. There have been plenty of lawmakers, police, judges, congressmen, senators, state and federal, that have been caught being predators. So I think to a degree, yeah, I think that you do have it. You have, one of the worst cases. Let me pull up one. Let me pull up something for you guys. If you guys don't know this one, y'all need to know this one. Okay, let me pull this guy up. Oh man, now you're getting me started. Okay, and this is what happens when it's not scripted. today. Hold it. I want to find the newest version of this. Hold on. Okay. If I'm trying to find, I'm going to try to find an older. I want to find the original story. Sort by date. This was denied. I want to go. All right, this is a good headline because this about sums this guy up. Give me a second. I want to take your thing down, Maddie, real quick. Okay. Let me pull this up real quick. This headline, y'all, is going to give you everything you need to know on this guy. This is a judge, by the way. All right, let me share screen. Meet Judge James B. Gosnell. Okay, you can see that Charleston judge who called Dylan Roof's family victims and was once reprimanded for using the N-word in court was denied bond after child abuse material arrest. I'm going to talk to you about this. This one y'all need to know about this. This is actually a really big deal. Okay. First of all, for those of you guys who don't remember who Dylan Roof is, Dylan Roof was the Charleston church shooter. He went and shot up a black church. It was purely race driven. This judge oversaw a portion of that process, and he called Dylan Roof, the shooter's family, victims, not the family of the actual victims, but the family of the shooters, the family of the shooter's victims, and he used the N-word in court, which explains why he called the shooter's family victims. Obviously, if you don't use that word unless you feel a certain way about a certain group of people, right? His child abuse arrest was a little bit more than that. I did not know that. I need to talk to you about him soon, Ree. You need to message me. So this is what he looks like. That's his mugshot. Okay. And you know what? If a magistrate judge, probably not going to do too well in prison, right? By the way, again, if you are watching this on TikTok, you can't see what I'm showing. You have to go over to YouTube, and otherwise you can just listen. Oh, yes, I do. Okay. So here's kind of what he done. Put his picture up here. Let you guys see what he did. I wish I could make it a little bit small. Well, maybe I could zoom it. View. Zoom it out a little bit so we can see more. I want the whole thing on screen. I'm going to talk about this. Yeah, that's good enough. That makes me happy enough. A little higher. There. Okay, so this is a long story, and I'll try to give you the abbreviated version of it because it's more than just the material. So basically what happened is he was purchasing material offline. No, he's not been sentenced yet. He was trying to get evidence suppressed, and that was about 3 weeks ago, and he lost that bid. So basically what happened was he apparently got tagged by he was purchasing this type of material from somebody overseas. I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head because it's been a few months since I've talked about it, but he was buying material from somebody overseas who was a known distributor of this type of stuff. He got flagged. They raided him, found lots of stuff. They found content, guys, going back to VHS. Okay, I want you to just kind of put that in your head. VHS. All right. Like a video cassette tape, right? That tells you how long he's been doing this. Okay, VHS. So he's got all that. I don't even know. They just find droves of this stuff, right? He's been doing it since the 1900s. Yes, droves of this stuff. They also find conversations, right? They found conversations of him with another person like him trying to arrange meetings to abuse, like, I think it was like a 3-year-old toddler, like kid under 6 years old, trying to meet up to abuse in Florida. I think they were in a relationship. I think he also ran Zoom meetings with other predators on how to basically stay out of trouble. Like, seriously, that is the stuff that this guy did. He's a judge. So what do you think that What do you think a judge that gets in trouble for using that word? Captain Home, I'm going to come back to what you said because I don't disagree with you. A judge that has no issue using that word calls the shooter an incredibly racially motivated mass shooting, his family victims, not the actual victims, whose families were shot for racially motivated reasons, and then does all this. What do you think that type of judge is like? Do you think that there might be some bias in his rulings? Frankly, I think that any person of color that was before this judge, or anybody who was before this judge with a child abuse charge, probably needs to have their case reexamined. That's what I think. Now, I guess you can't do double jeopardy if you let them go or whatever, but you want to know. I mean, this is kind of what happens, and a lot of times too, these judges will look at these young men like this was what happened. Camden Lee Dolly, who abused a young girl for years. And somebody like Jesse Mack Butler abused these girls. Walk away with us nothing more than a slap on the wrist because they don't want to ruin these boys' future. Despite the fact that these girls now have to carry around the trauma and scars, in some cases physically, in Jesse Mack Butler's case, physically, the scars of what these people do to them. And these people are like, well, we don't want to ruin their future. Well, F that. They ruin these girls' futures with their decisions. So, you know what? I just have no issue with that. So this is a case. If you guys haven't followed this one, y'all need to follow this one. This judge is a problem, guys. This judge is a real problem. But this goes back to like what we started with this whole thing, right? The lack of accountability. You know, we started with Athena Strand. And you know, basically what that guy said, the zero lack of accountability. That guy, I think he must be an incel. I guess he's got a wife and kids, so maybe he's not an incel, but still, there's something seriously wrong with him. But then you talked about the school board guy in Tennessee, and the dad calling him out and stuff like that. But people just sat there when he made these comments. That's how this stuff gets normalized. This is how they get out there and you know, they keep it in the forefront in real life. You just can't. Right. If you essay an adult, it's 10 to 15 years, but do it to a kid, it's 1 to 3. I mean, argue. And you're assuming you get 10 to 15 years on that. I mean, I get what you're saying. There are people that get more for weed possession than they do for the abuse of children or women. I mean, here's what I'll say. So I want to go back to what somebody said. Captain Homer said something. He said, what did you say? He said something I really want to say. He said, justice is disgusting. Justice is a disgusting, sick joke by design from the top down. And you guys, if you follow me regularly, you've probably heard me quote this one time. I did with my new podcast. The first guest that I sat down with was Elizabeth Smart, and Elizabeth is incredible. I would strongly encourage everybody to listen to that episode. It's the first one on my podcast, Unheard True Crime in No Words. You hear parts of her story that she doesn't really talk about publicly, so it was good. But she said something. One thing that she said specifically has stuck with me ever since, and it was, we don't have a justice system, really. We have a legal system, because you will never get back what was taken from you. And she was right. You'll never get back no matter what they do. So what you have to hope for is that you get some form of accountability. That's what you're going for, is accountability. You're not getting justice, right? And that's kind of, you know, a problem, I think. I'm not sure if he was elected or appointed. That's a great question. I don't know. Like his old principal, David George in West Fargo, was our boys in the hockey team. He's about to be sentenced. Good. And I'm glad that those boys came forward, because I know it's very hard for boys to come forward. It's hard for everybody to come forward, but boys especially, because there's a different type of like shame or it's a little different. So I'm glad that they had the courage to come forward. And I commend anybody who's got the courage to come forward, because it's not easy to put yourself out there like that. It's not. Anyway. Well, regardless, I don't know if he was appointed or if appointed, it was appointed by elected officials. True. Yeah, so the law is there to kind of protect them, and it's probably the Epstein files is a really good example of this. You know, it goes and shows unchecked power. You know, I'm not going to say anybody specific that's in the files, but every one of the men that has accusations against them in those files is very powerful and very wealthy. Every one of them. And you have women screaming from the rooftop. You have the acting AG saying that the Epstein files won't be part of the DOJ moving forward. You have actually have a video pointing of the president earlier today saying he doesn't understand why the Epstein files are such a big deal. He was appointed by the governor of South Carolina. Thank you for looking that up. He was appointed by the governor. Instagram disconnected. Bye, guys. They get an hour and then they go. And bye, Instagram. We're not going to reconnect. But we're going to remove it from the stream. I love Dr. Leslie. Yeah, I know. Her and I have been kind of collabing on some stuff. So anyways, let me close this out. There we go. Yeah. So I would agree. So a lot of times, you know, these people, and you look at the Epstein files, nobody's talking, right? I mean, there are people who were there. I mean, right now, let's blame it all on Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and there's nothing else to see here. I mean, that's the approach that's being taken by our government. And I just, that doesn't sit well with me, guys. And you know, so TikTok, I actually post a lot of Epstein content. I just don't do it here because now that Larry Ellison, who is heavily in the files, is over TikTok with Oracle, I can't post any Epstein stuff here on TikTok. I'm looking at my TikTok people right now. I can't post it here. I post on Instagram and Facebook, no problem though. Because Zuckerberg, say what you want about him, he only had like a meeting with him one time. And that was it. And then Elon was there too. So anyway, I'm not letting the files go. We're going to keep talking about them. I don't know what's going to happen in the next few months with everything. Well, I think they're better about you speaking live about it, Ree, than doing videos. When I do videos, they don't go anywhere. Like they get like 2,000-3,000 views. You only fight for so long, then you just start giving up. It's our reality. That's true. I mean, that's true. The issue is with the fighting is you can't fight when you don't have anybody interested. Now, the thing is, if people continue to demand answers, you know, in November, here's the thing. I saw a comment that's really stupid. Sorry. Not heroes on like a pop-up. I don't remember what I was going to say. Oh yeah, November. You can easily look up what officials voted for the releasing of the Epstein files and voted against. You can look at the ones that didn't do anything with it versus that stood up. And this is on both sides of the coin because believe me, there are plenty of Democrats and plenty of Republicans that decided that it wasn't worth their time. Right? Vote them out. Just vote them out. Put somebody else in there. They can't do their job, vote them out. It's easy. Anyways. Well, I can see on Insta and on TikTok, on YouTube that you guys are dropping off. So TikTok, stick around for a minute. I'll come hang out with you guys because you also have good numbers. And that's kind of like my cue to like close it out. So I will do that. Again, everybody else, please sign the petition to end easy plea deals for child predators. Linked in the show notes for Facebook and YouTube. It's linked in the show notes. And for Facebook, it's also pinned at the top of the page. For TikTok, guys, it's for y'all. It's in my bio. Please listen to the new podcast, Unheard True Crime in Their Own Words. Help me get the numbers up on that. I really think y'all will enjoy it. We're sitting down with people who were closest to these crimes. And I think that you guys will find it really entertaining and sides of these stories that you've never heard before, spoken without edits, without narratives, without angles. And yeah, don't forget to follow. Help me get to that 100,000 mark, please. And we'll talk soon. You guys, I'll see you guys. Well, I probably won't see y'all tomorrow because it's the weekend. I'll have a phenomenal weekend. We'll be back doing it again next week. Bye, guys.